Hey, all. Hope you're having a great holiday season. Hooray. I'm finally healed after doing the regimen of cream on my face to burn off any lurking skin cancer. It was interesting because I didn't see any difference for the first week or more. I put the cream on in the morning and at night, and nothing changed on my face. And then one day, red spots started to appear, and every day these spots grew and became more visible and more apparent and bigger. Initially, the cream burned a little when I put it on my face, but that was it. But by the end of the treatment, my face was red and raw and felt like it was on fire 24/7. When I was in the middle of the most painful part of this treatment, I wished I hadn't started it. It hurt. I thought about my face almost constantly. People brought it up and asked me about it, and I felt a little bit self-conscious. What kept me going was that I'd had to burn many spots in the dermatologist in an office visit prior, and I learned I couldn't get out of this. And I was eventually going to have to get the cancer burned off one way or the other. So I faithfully put the cream on twice a day, even though the result was pain. When I was able to stop the treatment, my face healed. Eventually, almost imperceptibly, the redness and the pain lessened, and then it left. It already feels like a distant memory, even right now. It's not even on my radar or anyone else's anymore. I share this with you because healing my marriage felt a lot like this process. I did the work and I waited. Nothing seemed to happen for a while, just like the cream. All I was doing didn't seem to be helping my relationship with my husband. The changes didn't take place quickly, but they were taking place internally inside of me. The work I was putting in was making a difference, but I didn't notice it. Neither did my husband. I was working so hard on my thoughts and the feelings that those thoughts caused. And I was trying to see my challenges in a more helpful way. I also did self care. I started my gratitude journal. I kept my mouth closed. I spoke up when it mattered. I asked for what I wanted. I apologized. I started to wonder if this would ever work. But just like the cream for my face, as I stuck with it and I continued to make efforts towards shifting my perspective, my feelings, and my actions, everything just started to change. As is often the case, there were glimpses of hope and more happiness between us, but it got worse before it got better. Some of the worst moments between my husband and I in our entire marriage occurred after I had started this work. I believe the reason is complicated, but one thing I know for sure and that I have seen in my relationships and with others is that we create a type of dance in our interactions with each other. We react to each other in certain ways under certain circumstances, and we get used to how we react. Even if it's not the best way or the healthiest way, it becomes comfortable to us. When a spouse changes the dance, so to speak, it may start to feel awkward, messy, and your spouse may even think manipulative. Many spouses wonder if we're being authentic and genuine or playing games. We each know how the dance always goes, and it feels weird to switch it up, even if we are improving the dance. I had a client who was a people pleaser, and her husband was a lot more opinionated. So, to keep the peace, she regularly gave in to the way he wanted to do things. The problem was that over the years, this created much discontent and resentment in her, and especially in her role as a wife and mother. And it manifested in depression, buffering, and even some serious health issues. She didn't know what the root cause was. As we started coaching, she recognized what was happening. She realized this dance and that she needed to change it for her to have better physical, emotional, and mental health. She changed the dance in her relationship, starting with her husband and others where she saw similar patterns. She started voicing her opinion on things that mattered to her. Her husband and others didn't like this. This is the part that gets messy before it gets better. They thought the dance was fine before. What they didn't realize was that this very dance created all of the problems she was having, the depression, the buffering, the health issues, that they all wanted to get better. So these interactions negatively impacted her in such a way that it eventually brought her very low in all those areas. So the people who love her didn't like this either. It takes courage to fine tune the dance. This client went through some refining and fine tuning to change her dance. It wasn't fun, much like my medicine. As the dance changed between she and her husband, and she spoke her truth, it felt like they were burning each other a little bit. Being vulnerable enough to voice what needs to change, repenting and forgiving each other, looking inward is hard work. But much like my face, it led to growth and healing. Another reason I believe this process is so hard is that as we grow in light, truth, and knowledge, we experience the rule of opposition, and this life is designed for us to grow. In order to do that, we become daily aware of where we can repent, where we can improve. We will feel this opposition equal to the light and knowledge we are implementing. As it says in Nephi 2:11-16, for it must needs be that there is an opposition in all things. If not, righteousness could not be brought to pass. Wherefore the Lord gave unto man that he should act for himself. Wherefore man could not act for himself, save it should be that he was enticed by the one or the other. For agency to operate, we must be enticed proportionately by light and truth, darkness and false beliefs. This balance is maintained by divine decree. When we receive an increase of awareness and truth, we receive an increase in opposition as well. Everything good you attempt will be opposed. It is an ordained and essential part of the plan of salvation. What I've learned through my own marriage and coaching many others is to plan on this pattern. First, it doesn't seem like anything you're doing is making a difference at all. Second, it gets worse before it gets better. And third, once you stick with it, healing and health will happen in different areas of your life. It's important to be aware of this cycle, and then you will know better what to expect, and you won't be giving up on this process prematurely. When I'm faced with an opportunity to either be contentious or to be a better version of myself, a good exercise is to imagine Christ there with me. I think of him as I confront the problem I want to discuss. If I imagine Christ right there with my husband and I acting as a mediator, what would I say or do differently? What would Christ say to each of us? How do I think my perspective would change if I saw the situation through Christ's eyes? What would my tone be if Christ were there in the room with us? These questions help me to be more of who I want to be, and they help me tap into being more like Christ. I hope your holiday season is a time of happiness. As always, seek and expect miracles. Have faith and be believing. God will not disappoint. His promises are sure, but plan on things happening in his timing and in his way and according to his will. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time.